Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings Week 3 kickoff is just a couple of days away, and I'm going to take some time and spend 45 minutes to an hour talking with my chat over on Twitch. By the way, you should come over to Twitch and say hi. You know, I'm live like 6 days a week. The schedule's right there on my community page if you haven't logged over to there or swiped over to that tab and gone and checked that out. But like, I am live 6 days a week, like every freaking day except Saturday. Come by the stream and say hello. We'd love to come and meet you. But we're going to try and talk about building NFL DFS lineups here for Week 3 on DraftKings for the next 45 minutes to 60 minutes. Thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you ring the notifications bell. Leave me a comment down below. Everything that you do, all those button clicking things help out as you cannot imagine in the YouTube algorithm and helps me grow this channel to where we're trying to get it to. So thank you guys for being here, and let's get to the talk.
He's a legend.
Our Friday show is brought to you by EstablishTheRun.com. If you guys watched the cage match this week, you were introduced or reintroduced to Adam Levitan, one of the founders and lead analysts over at EstablishTheRun.com. If you use the promo code SMIZLIFE at checkout, or look down below in the pinned comment, there will be a link right to it, smizzle.tv/ETR. You get yourself a 10% discount off of any one of their fine products. Go check out all the content that they have behind the paywall. They do private shows, private podcasts, articles, projections, everything that you need to help you become a more successful player in daily fantasy is there, as well as an NBA product that is second to none. The Smiz Gang Listener League, we're at 2,234 people out of 3,500. There will also be a link down below. If you click show more in the description, I'll probably also put that in the pinned comment as well. So if you wanted to join the Listener League, 3,500 people, $10, 3 max, absolutely no rake. So best tournament that there is. If you guys feel it early, they might make it bigger in week 4, which is absurd considering that we've never had a Listener League and y'all are like 2/3 full. So make sure that you get your spots, reserve them, get on in there. Let me bring in the chat. You're all in on Tyson Williams after watching Aaron Jones not get touched by the Lions run. The Lions are going to be bad. They're going to be really, really bad. Like all year. We knew this. Is Mixon viable against Pittsburgh's defense because of his crazy usage? Volume over everything, guys. Always, 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 always. So like, guys that are heavy volume running backs, guys who, we talk about 5 boxes all the time. Like, what are 3 of those boxes? Heavy volume, expectation of over 20 touches. Another one, volume, usage inside the 5-yard line, right? You always used to call them goal line backs. But like goal line back, does he get it like when they're trying to slam into the line from the 1? I extend that out to the 5. Those are the highest volume, highest leverage touches that you can get on the field are those ones inside the 5-yard line. And are they getting usage in the passing game? Are they getting volume of targets? One of the guys that I do have to talk to you about just a little bit in terms of high volume guys is Dalvin Cook, who has missed all 3 practices this week. And Friday he left the field after stretching. So he had an ankle sprain last week and played all the way through it. You can see the ridiculous game that he had: 20 carries, 3 targets, just massive usage, great games back to back, over 40 20.6 per game so far this season. He was the number 2 pick overall for a reason. And at 8,400 was going to be an extremely popular play here in week 3. But now we have to monitor this. And is he going to be out? And if he is out, his name is Alexander Madison. They call him Alexander Madison. This usage is going to get a lot higher. If Cook is out, all of a sudden, we're going to get a lot more usage for Madison. The problem is, unless we get this information in like the Shefty news dump on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific time, this is the 425 game and you may not find out. So we're going to have to build in some late swaps into our lineups to make sure that we have the flexibility if Cook is a go or a no-go. So you're going to have to make some decisions of where you want to go with your lineups and when you want to get there. So it's even worse on FanDuel with Dalvin Cook being 9,500 and Madison being 5,200 versus their prices on DraftKings where like Cook is 84 and Madison is at 6K. So like looking at the other running backs in that price range, right? Like let's say 55 to 65. Carson, Mixon, Montgomery, albeit against Cleveland. Gibson has a really good offensive line, defensive line matchup. This red number next to his name is going to hold his percentage down in tournaments. Swift has been at least used a lot in the passing game. Tyson Williams, who we spoke about briefly before. Chase Edmonds. Like, there's a lot of plays in this range, right? Like, 6K is... It's not like he's 4,500. But, like, on FanDuel, 5,200? If Madison's the guy, if we get early news that he's, like, the guy, like, you could probably do anything you want on FanDuel this week. Right? If he's going to be the 20 touch guy or 15 to 20 touch guy, you're probably, this is going to be every cash game lineup on FanDuel. It's going to be Saquon and Madison and like just jam in whatever you want. If Cook's a no-go, you probably just stack Jefferson, Thielen, Cousins instead of playing Madison at that price. Here's the problem with that. Okay. Cousins stacks have been absolute money through the first 2 weeks. And I have him in top stacks as well. If you haven't watched our top stacks video, go check that one out. Comes out every single Thursday. Cook was going to be an extremely popular play, probably the most popular running back on the slate. So he was going to carry a heavy percentage in tournaments, which if you're playing Cook, you're probably not playing Cousins in a stack or Cousins in a double stack. So that was going to hold their percentages down. Now, if Cook is out, we're going to see more traffic on that stack. Like that was going to be a low percentage, low played stack for the third week in a row. Definitely a low played double stack. I think that Osborne was going to be somebody who would be popular, but Jefferson wouldn't at his price and Thielen wouldn't at his price. But now you're telling me that if Cook is out and people are like, well, I want access and exposure to that game, they're just going to use those guys now as opposed to not using them before. If you're saying, well, DK Metcalf or Lockett was going to be their play, even in a secondary stack as a one-off, and they would bring it back with Dalvin Cook, now that's one less bring back. So now you're talking about Jefferson seeing elevated percentage in tournaments. You're talking about Thielen seeing an elevated percentage, Osborne seeing an elevated percentage, and Cousins double stack seeing an elevated percentage. So like that's going to massively change more than just Cook to Madison. CEH is scary, and it makes you sad. He's going to be redacted. If he does not get... My number is 14. Is that fair, or am I being mean? I need you to tell me, chat. Am I being mean in saying that if Clyde Edwards-Helaire in another game with a total over 50, as the back getting 80% of the running back snaps for the Kansas City Chiefs in Andy Reid offense, and he's getting 13 carries and 14 carries, I would be fine with him getting between 12 and 15 carries if he was getting 4 to 7 targets every week. Because as we've spoken about for years, every target is worth 2.8 carries. So if he's getting like 6 targets a week, you know, it's like 16 carries on top of like the volume would be more than enough. But his price in these 2 weeks was 66 and 67, and he floundered both weeks. He's at 48, and you're going to have to mash him. I don't care what projection system you're using. I don't care what lineup builder you're using. If you're using rotogrinders, if you're using fantasy labs, if you're using the ETR projections in another thing, if you're using daily roto, I don't care what projections or lineup system you're using. CEH is projecting as one of the best values on the slate. So if you're building a whole lot of lineups, or if you're building cash game lineups, he is going to be the guy who is in there. And if he doesn't get me 14 or more points this week, he is redacted. So, gauntlet thrown. You know, I have slapped him across the face and challenged him to a duel. 14 points or death. Your problem with CH and GPPs is what is his ceiling? 15 points is not winning you a GPP. Not every player needs to win you a GPP. Like, that's a common misunderstanding. I won the Millionaire Maker with 15 points from David Johnson. You don't have to get 35 points from 9 different slots in your lineup. It's unnecessary. You need players to not fail, right? You need players to not fail for a salary, and you need some guys to moon. You need some guys to hit a ceiling and get you 25 to 40 fantasy points. And it's much easier to do that when they correlate. What was my Millionaire Maker winning lineup? Well, it was 5 years ago now. I had Cam Newton at quarterback. I had David Johnson at running back. I had Stephon Diggs at flex. I had both Benjamins, Kelvin Benjamin and Benjamin that was on the Chargers at the time. I had just a very straightforward, makes sense lineup. I had the Broncos defense. They were playing the Colts. And Von Miller had a strip sack on like in the last 60 seconds of the game, and Aqib Talib scooped it up and returned it for a touchdown. So, like, I had a lot of stuff that went off that day. But, like, I also had, I had like 37 points from Steph Diggs. But like David Johnson, who was like 6K that day, had like 15 or 16 fantasy points. You can look it up. Just Google Al Smizzle Millionaire Maker, and like there's like the Washington Post did an article on it, and you can find a screenshot of that lineup and just see what it was. Like, you don't have to have every position get you 30 points. If you did, that would be 270 points. You really have to, like, 225 to 250 wins the Millionaire Maker most weeks. You don't need 300 to 350 points. It's impossible. So 15 points isn't going to kill you. You just need a lot of guys to go off. How many years had I been playing DraftKings before I won the Millie? I started playing Daily Fantasy in 2012. I was the Tournament Player of the Year on rotogrinders in 2013. I came in second in the Millionaire Maker that year, the first ever Millionaire Maker on DraftKings. I had 14 entries in that one, took down second place, and was in first with like a minute left. And I got caught from behind. I won in 2016. I had 150 lineups, which was the max at the time. So second place, like that, the 2013, it was week 16. I won 350,000 for that second place, but I won like 550,000 on that day because I crushed FanDuel as well on that day. Like, everything in my core went off. You only have to bink 1 week in NFL. If you can bink 1 week a season, you're going to win a lot of money. I'm not even winning like the Millionaire Maker. If you have that one bink week, it's going to carry you, right? We saw Mike like a week ago took down the Monday single game showdown and split it, won like 99,000. Mike's not like a 10 or 20K a guy per slate player. You bink once in NFL. Yeah, Andy Holloway, our friend from the Fantasy Footballers. He's been on the cage match a couple of times before. Awesome dude. $45,000 last night. He had 2 entries. $30 into 45K. There's no way he's going to do that. He's not going to play through 45,000 for the rest of the year. So, like, based on the amount that he has in play on a main slate and on these showdown slates, he's profitable this year. You just need one bink, guys. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. So we play to bink tournaments. We talked about this last week. We ain't playing to min cash here, guys. And that's where the double stack bring back secondary stack comes into play. Like, yeah, do you have less of a percentage of chance of finishing in the money? Probably. But you have way more of a chance that when your stacks hit, that you finish in the top 1%. And that should be your goal when building tournament lineups. If you really step back and take a look at all your lineups using something like RotoTracker or any sort of bankroll software, it's going to show you can say, okay, isolate for GPPs, and then what percent of my lineups are ending up in the top 1% in tournaments? And if it's greater than 1%, you're doing your job well. If you say, okay, what percent of my lineups are in the top 5% of tournaments? Because all the money is up top. You want to overweight the field. The field in the top 1% is going to have 1%. The field in the top 5%, they're going to have 5%. But if you have like 10% of your lineups show up in the top 5%, you are giving yourself more bites at the apple to finish at the top of the chart and win the big money and bink that week. And you're doing it on a consistent basis because of the lineup roster construction that we tend to focus on this channel. You will bink something at some point. I can't tell you when, but you're going to be on the right stuff at some point on some slate, and you're going to win stuff. And we like winning stuff here, but it's hard to win stuff. Am I playing the Underdog weekly GPP? Is the Battle Royale? I like doing the Battle Royale. The Battle Royale is a lot of fun. So many people say the Millie is a bad structure and not to play it. I agree. It's a terrible structure. Structure being the payout arc. $3 million in the tournament, 33% of it goes to first place. Out of there. 10th place is like 10K. $1 million to first, 10K to 10th, and then 100th you get like a set of steak knives. It's a terrible structure, but it's also the only place that I can go to win $1 million when I'm playing fantasy on a weekend, so I play it. But like bankroll management is not something that I worry about at this point in my fantasy career and life. I want big binks. I'm a big game hunter. But like if you're in the bankroll building portion of your life and or DFS playing career, then do something different. Focus on 50-50s. Focus on low stakes cash games. Grind your butt off. Play the low entry low stakes tournaments. We've talked about these a ton, right? We've said focus on the 100 entry games and enter your tournament lineups in those and try and take those down. They have those for $1, $2, $5, $10, $25, wherever. Get in where you fit in with your bankroll and focus on the smaller field things. But if you want to chase 150, they have mini-max games as well. They have the nickel game, the 10-cent game, the 25-cent game. You can play 150 lineups in those tournaments without saying, well, I don't have the bankroll to put in 150 lineups. It's like $15 in the 10-cent game. So if you're using good lineup construction practices, using whatever good projections are out there, whichever ones you like, if you like the ones that we promote here on this channel, the ones that I personally subscribe to, great. One of the lineup builders that's involved with those companies, great. And play around and learn how to become an MME player. And you know what? Maybe you're the next great mass multi-entry guy because you can make an optimizer dance better than some other people and you understand leverage in tournaments and you can identify low percentage played players and get yourself there. But you're not going to know if you don't try, and you can get in for like $15 in the mini-max tournaments or like $75 in the, if that's, you know, if you're that type of player in the 25-cent tournaments. How should we handle the Rams game? We have to wait for inactives first. So, like, we have to know what the Rams running back situation is. Is Henderson in or out? Understand that I do not trust Sean McVay. So if Henderson is active, I that doesn't clear anything up for me. So that's one. I'm just telling you that right now. Right? Because Todd Gurley was active for the Super Bowl too. Right? Oh, Todd Gurley's going to be fine. We're going to give him a heavy dose. And it was like none. 0% Todd Gurley in the Super Bowl. So like him just being active, I don't know. If he's inactive, that clears up a lot. Antonio Brown looks as though he will not play on the weekend. So that consolidates our Tampa Bay wide receiver core, right? That tells us a couple of things. Let's isolate for that game and bring that up. So we talked about the running back situation. Obviously, if Henderson is not a play, Ribs did not practice Thursday. It's the West Coast. It's like 10:30 a.m. here. Let's wait for the practice report on Friday. We'll have a little bit better or clearer picture. If he's out, then Sony Michel becomes like the lead dog, and then one of these other guys is going to sprinkle in. We're only playing Ronald Jones if Leonard Fournette and Gio are out. So he's out. If you want shares of Fournette, fine. He'd have to score 2 touchdowns to smash. And there's enough value at running back that I don't think you need to go that route. But if you want to go that route, play whoever you want, right? The focus should be more on the wide receivers, because with Antonio Brown possibly missing the game because he may not get there on COVID, it says he needs to produce 2 negative COVID tests at least 24 hours apart after testing positive for the virus earlier this week, which means that he has had the vaccine because those are the vaccinated protocols. Otherwise, it's like 5 to 7 days and he would just be out. He needs to get 2 negative tests, right? So he's got 2 days to get 2 negative tests. If he is out, right? If he is out, that means that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin should see a somewhat predictable bump in their target market share. Buccaneers. Where the hell? Bucs. Targets. Right? So you would basically be removing Antonio Brown and his 10 targets, which has been 12.5% of the target market share so far. So that would be just 12% that's got to be sprinkled somewhere else. Godwin at 24%, Evans at 18. I think that they kind of even out by the end of the year. I think they're both going to be at like 22 to 23. Gronk's seen a really high percentage of targets. I think that comes down just a hair, probably to like 14% by the end of the year. These Antonio Brown snaps, though, are going to go somewhere else. Godwin and Evans aren't going to play more snaps. So to me, what's going to happen is you're going to get somebody that's going to step into the 3 wide. And whether that's going to be Tyler Johnson or whether that's going to be Scotty Miller remains to be seen. But like inside the red zone, it's these 3. These are the 3 guys that get the red zone targets. That's where the ball is going to go when they get in close. You could extend that to Fournette if you want. Might as well remove Evans to Ramsey. We'll have him clip. We talked about this at the beginning of the Twitch stream. Like, Ramsey's not shadowing. Ramsey didn't shadow last year, and they're moving Ramsey all over the field to not allow defensive coordinators to scheme away from him. He's played safety. He's played outside linebacker. He's played cornerback on both sides. He has not just been assigned to one guy. What should you know if you go from 20 max to 150 max? It's a different game. You're now taking more shots on leveraging the field with specific plays or fading different players. Still focusing on stacking, double stacking, bringing back with an opposing player. Ramsey is morphing into Charles Woodson. A little bit. So like a lot of injuries this week. And a lot of things that are causing us. Somebody brought up Underdog. Why don't we do an Underdog pick 'em slip? If you go over to underdog.com, right here, this is the main page. They have a great app. Download it from the App Store, or whether you're on Android or whether you're on Apple, do what you got to do. They also have a website, underdogfantasy.com. When you make your first deposit, if you use promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE, on your first deposit, you will get, and I will also get, $10. So get yourself $10 for free, and let's build a little lineup card here based around fantasy. So like on this channel, we bet overs. Yes, I understand that it is sharp to bet unders, and historically more profitable to bet the unders than it is to bet the overs. But unders suck. So we're just going to do like a little 3-way over ticket here for fun. Because why not? I love this game, by the way. I love this game. This game is great. 55 total. Yeah, kickers suck too. F kickers. So like you take a look, some of them are fantasy points, some of them are yardage based, some of them are scrimmage yards, some of them are receiving yards, some of them are catches. Attempts for quarterback has been one. Nothing. They took all the Cincinnati Pittsburgh ones off the board because of the injury to Deontay Johnson and the injury to Higgins. Until those are cleared up, those probably will not go back on the board. And take a look and kind of figure out where these are going to go. This game right here. This is another good game. Mac Jones under. Overs only on this channel. We're going to have fun, damn it. We're not rooting for punters. Everything's the same there. Are these prop bets on UD limited to states where sports betting is legal? I'm in California and I can use them. So sports betting not legal here. And this is legal here. So, because it's fantasy based. See, fantasy points, receiving yards, whatever. I'm going to go Mahomes over. I'm going to go Herbert over. Herbert's basically averaging like 19 fantasy points and has thrown 1 touchdown per game and had like 74 called back so far. I'm going to go Austin Eckler over. I'm going to root for that. $25 to win 150, 6x, confirm. We're in. That's my triple over. I'm going to watch a really high scoring game and I'm going to root for the guys that I want to root for. Play whatever you want to play. Easy peasy. Hope I binked the 3 for 3. Can't do the props on Underdog in Ohio? Come on, Ohio. Get your stuff together. How does Wentz news affect my thoughts on Henry, if at all? So did Wentz news break after I went live? What happened with Wentz? You're going to have to fill me in. I'm the boss. Need the info. What's the deal with Wentz right now? Carson Wentz ankles. I've never seen that. I've never seen it say ankles. It always says ankle. Ankles. Carson Wentz and his ankles were present for practice on Friday, says Adam Schefter. Remains to be seen how the Colts list his participation level. That's key. Like, was he just there? Like, present is one thing, but like, was he running through all of the drills? We don't know. Was he there for the walkthrough? If he's there, at least he has a chance to play on Sunday. So again, we will have to monitor this situation. And it is a 1 p.m. game, which means we'll know 90 minutes before lock who's active and who's inactive. Didn't Manning have 2 sprained ankles for 5 years? Yeah, it was like misery. It'd be a statue standing in quicksand. At least he's tall, though. Ankles. I've never seen ankles as a thing. So, like, there's a lot of injuries on this slate. Like, a lot of them. A lot of them. So, like, Lamar Jackson hurt himself doing a dumb flip into the end zone this week where he, like, looked like my 11-year-old trying to do a flip in the backyard. Probably not a great idea. Says that he should be fined for this weekend. Wentz, we just talked about. Dalvin Cook, monitor the situation is the best thing I can tell you. Saquon, fine. Jacobs, probably not going to play this weekend. Opens up a lot of value there. Henderson, I don't trust Sean McVay, so we're gonna have to wait and see with this one. The best case scenario for us, honestly, to have an idea of usage is if he's just out. That would be the best case scenario for us with Darrell Henderson Jr. because he could be active, but like on Sunday and just be like active, right? Oh, he's active, but like maybe they just don't play him. He's just there as a decoy. I don't mean like on the field as a decoy, but like kind of like in the ways that Todd Gurley was active for that Super Bowl. Harris is questionable now. Limited, he's fine. So that opens up that at running back. Wide receiver, there's a lot. DeAndre Hopkins now game time decision for Sunday. That sucks. Sneak preview, he was going to be the cover boy on the 5 under 5 video that comes out every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Projected for under 5% before this. Now he's definitely going to be under 5%. Monitor the situation. I don't know how else to put that. Deontay Johnson, non-participant on Thursday. We'll monitor for the Friday practice report. If he is out this weekend, now you're going to look at somebody like James Washington playing a ton more snaps. Guys like Juju Smith-Schuster is going to get more targets. Chase Claypool going to get more targets against Cincinnati. Jarvis Landry on IR. And the other side of that, Odell Beckham Jr. is expected to play. Marquise Brown is participating in Friday's practice, so he looks like he's a go. Kenny Galladay ran routes at Friday's practice, so he should be okay. I mentioned Odell Beckham Jr. will play, announced by the coach this weekend, only 5,300. T. Higgins, doubtful for Sunday's game. Lot of injuries. Not happy. Not happy, chat. Nuke is always a game time decision? No, he's not. He often doesn't practice, but he's not a game time. Game time decision is not great. Can we look at cash game wide receivers? Sure. So I think that your cash game wide receivers are going to be dictated, partially at least, by the players. Sorry, I've got something on another screen. By the players that you're going to play at running back, right? And again, from site to site, if you're playing on FanDuel, you're going to spend up at wide receiver in cash because Saquon is too cheap, right? $6K on FanDuel for running back is way different from $6,500 for a running back on DraftKings. So, like, I think that Saquon's going to be in there, but then also, I think that you're going to see a lot of this in cash. Especially, I think that cash running backs were going to basically be like that before the Cook queue, right? Before the Cook queue, I thought this was the running back pairing in cash, leaving you 5K. I kind of thought that Osborne would be a guy that a lot of people were going to go to just because of volume. Now, if we have no Cook, people might lean on Henry in that spot. I think that both Rams wide receivers are going to be extremely popular with the amount of targets that Cooper Kupp has gotten through 2 weeks. And then Robert Woods being, 1,100 cheaper and getting 9 targets last week. Really good floor, obviously access to a ceiling with this Rams offense, and the Tampa Bay game with a massive total, well above 50. So either one of them is fine with me in cash, depending on which way that you want to build. I think that Keenan Allen is going to be extremely popular. I think Tyreek Hill will actually be very popular, in spite of the red number, just based on what he can do as well. What do I think about Mooney in cash? I worry. I think theoretically he's fine. I would prefer Mooney in tournaments. In theory, he's fine based on what his volume of targets has been through 2 weeks. But now you have a situation where Justin Fields, with a week of practice and a game plan specifically for him schematically, is going to basically change the way that the Bears run offense in a couple of ways. One, Fields is going to be more likely to challenge downfield. That is a benefit to Darnell Mooney. The problem is, I'm going to assume, rightly or wrongly, and unless this game gets out of hand with Cleveland and Chicago, that Cleveland, who is favored in this game, and both of these teams having very strong defenses, is going to want to play slow and run the hell out of the ball and play from ahead. It's not as though this game has like one of the higher totals or projects to play extremely fast. And it adds to it when you have a quarterback like Justin Fields, who ran it 10 times in his first game when Dalton left that game early, that he's probably going to run it 8 to 12 times, with at least half of those being designed runs and scripted for him to do such. So that means less plays, right? And I don't think, unless things get completely out of hand, that they want this kid throwing the ball 35 to 45 times this week. Now, if he does throw the ball 35 to 45 times and he does run the ball 10 times, he's going to absolutely demolish 5,200. But I'm thinking about the other end of that. If he throws it 20 times to 23 times. That's not a lot of targets to go around between Mooney and Robinson and Kmet. Considering that a few of them are also going to go to David Montgomery and Damian Williams. So I'm operating under the assumption that he's going to throw it 25 times this week. So Mooney to me is more of a tournament play because of the profile of Fields to throw the ball downfield more often than Andy Dalton, who has thrown 8% of his passes for long passes. So like that's bad, right? He's just dink and dunk all over the place. And while Mooney can bust one, it's going to be more difficult for him to do that if the ball's not traveling 30 to 50 yards in the air and Fields is the quarterback who will give him those opportunities more. So like, I think Mooney has ceiling opportunity, but also has a lower floor than I would want from a cash game wide receiver. That's the long answer. I hope that helps. Is Fields a good cash game play? Yes. I think Fields is fine. But like target high, you want fast-paced, high-totaled games with a lot of plays, a lot of opportunities, a lot of touchdown upside. So like, where's Fantasy Labs Vegas page? FantasyLabs.com. This is a free page over on Fantasy Labs. If you go to FantasyLabs.com, if you use the link down below in the description, you can get a discounted membership over to Fantasy Labs. But this is part of their free page right here. Again, promo code SmithLife at checkout. Use the links that are in the description. Click Show More. Click Vegas under NFL. It's got this fantastic Vegas page. It's great. You can see all the games. You can see where they opened. You can see, oh, Jesus, I messed everything up. I screwed it up. You can sort by the stuff. This is each game. You can see which lines moved down. The total in the Bears-Browns game has gone down 2 points since open, with 60%, roughly 59% of the money being bet on the under. On the other side of things, we have this game, the Buccaneers and the Rams, where the total is up 1.5 since open. Still, 63% of the bets on the under, but this game trending upwards in terms of expected points. 27 points from the Rams, 28 points for the Buccaneers. A closely contested game that should be up and down the field. Neither team really allows other teams to run the football with any sort of effectiveness or efficiency, which tends to lead to funneling the ball going to the passing game, and you have two very capable and willing quarterbacks at throwing the football and great wide receivers on pass catchers on both teams. We could see like 80 plus to 100 pass attempts in this game. That leads to incomplete passes, which stops the clock, which means more plays for both sides. So like, I try to stick to high volume plays in high scoring, fast paced environments. That does not mean that you can't get a ceiling game from somebody in this game here, right? Like a game with a total of 42, right? It just means that the probability of something like that happening, like Damian, like they could score 22 points and one guy could have 3 touchdowns. Like Damian Harris could like run for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. That would be a fantastic game, right? Be a fantastic game and would put you in a position to win a tournament. But the likelihood of something like that happening from a game with a total of 42 total points is less likely than somebody or multiple people coming out of a game with 55.5, 55, like this Vikings Seahawks game. 50 points from Baltimore with a team total of 28. Looking at the highest implied team totals on the week so far. Kansas City, 30.75. Cardinals, 29. Ravens, 28.75. Seahawks, 28. 28. Monday night, 27. Focus on the high-scoring teams. They score more touchdowns. Touchdowns are very good for fantasy. Game-breaking analysis, for sure. Letting you know that, touchdowns are very good for fantasy. Is Javonte Williams a good pivot from CEH? I don't know. They're not committed to him yet. Love the talent. I think he's really good. He's 4,900. But like gets 45 to 49% of the snaps. Good GPP play? Yeah. Low floor. Anybody can bust a long touchdown. You know, it's very straightforward at times. Sometimes you don't have to overthink things. I preach not overthinking. Right? Play the players from the high scoring spots that are getting a lot of volume. Like, simplify the game, guys. Correlate those players so that instead of having to be right about 4 different positions on your lineup, you really only have to be right about one thing. I think this game's going to go bonkers. So I want access to all the guys from this game that are going to get a lot of volume, because if the game goes bonkers and the high volume guys are involved, they're probably going to go bonkers too. Doesn't always work like that. Works a lot. Works more than the field plays it is really the point. If 20% of the people in the field are like, yeah, that's smart, and you're like 100% of my lineups are like that, you have an edge over the field. You just have to play the right players. But you know, at the end of the day, to win a GPP, here's the secret. Write this down. At the end of the day, to win a GPP, you have to score more points than everyone else in the GPP. It's been that way since day one. Yeah, just score more points, forehead. So insightful. Much excite. Such wow. I've been doing this so wrong. God damn it. Double J, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Guys, if you got a gifted sub from Double J, say thank you in the chat. I didn't even know that. Have I been concerned with Robert Woods so far this year? No. Is he a good GPP pick? Yes. So, like, maybe. It depends on, like, where you think the percentage is going to end up, because I don't think he's sneaky at all. I don't think he's going to be like, I don't think it's like Cooper Kupp for 30% and like Robert Woods for 5. I think they're going to be much closer in percentages than like people are willing to let on. Are we going to overweight on Kupp again? I don't start building lineups until Sunday or Saturday night. Like, for real. Do I ever think about how my life would be different if I went by Smizzle? No. Al Smizzle became my name because of Xbox Live. Because my poker name was different. Back when I was playing online poker, like, my online name was something different, which came from something that started in college. And that name was taken on Xbox Live. It started with an SM. Al whatever. And then I was like, well, that's taken, so Smizzle. And then when I started playing daily fantasy, I just went with Al Smizzle. And then I started winning things. And when you win stuff in daily fantasy, you're known by whatever your name is forever. So, like, if you name we've said this for years, right? Don't name yourself Fat Fart Daddy 69XX. Because if you win a thing, you're just going to be Fat Fart Daddy 69 for the rest of your life. Like, nope. Don't want that. So think about the name that you give yourself online. Because, like, if you do a thing, you will always be known as that name. So, like, don't do that. And here come the names. All right, guys, I'm going to break out of here. Good luck to you in your lineup building. Look out for that video coming tomorrow about the 5 under 5 for week 3. God, it's going to be great when it's week 5. The 5 under 5 for week 5. Thank you guys for joining the show. Look out for another video right here. Right there.
He's a legend.